Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of Inside Guns with your host, me, the Yankee Marshal. Today I want to talk about that old saying that we repeat quite a bit in the gun community, that the best way to stop a bad guy with a gun is a good guy with a gun. I think most of us understand what that means and we believe it when we say it. But we're constantly being told by people on the left side of the argument that almost never happens. Almost never, ever. It's so few, blah, blah, blah. And I want to talk today about how that's garbage. In fact, even the FBI, which, who would expect them to be partisan, lies about how often good guys with guns stop bad guys with guns in active shooter situations, active murderers. People that are killing actively with a firearm. How often do good guys stop them? Well, it seems like the FBI wants to say, well, it's only like 4% of the time this happens. Only 4% of the time. But even if it was just 4% of the time, I'm like, wow, that's 4% of the time that people intervened. Because here's one thing about having a carry permit and carrying a gun. That gun is there so you and your family don't become the victims of criminals. Not to protect every other law-abiding adult around you who had every option to protect themselves too. Now, if the opportunity arises to protect them, great. Do it. But don't put yourself at undue risk. You have an obligation to come home to your family. Those people could have defended themselves too. That's the way I always look at it. If I'm out at the mall, someone starts shooting, I wouldn't go to the mall usually, but if I did and someone started shooting, my first job is to get my family, get them out of the mall. And to prevent that bad guy from hurting us. Not to prevent them from hurting other people. Those other people, like I said, had every right to go get the means to defend themselves. Now that's just my opinion, but you can have your own. But like I was saying, even if it was just 4% of the time that someone stepped up and protected others, that wouldn't be bad. That'd be good in my mind. But here's the reality. It's more like 35% of the time that good guys stop bad guys. If you look at the numbers, the FBI identified like 252 active shooter events between the years of, I think it was 2014 and 2021. I had to look at my notes there. So that's like what, 8 years? 8 years of mass shootings, and they identified 252. Now that might shock some people because they're going to be like, but the media tells me there's like 100 every 12 minutes. There's like 1,000 every day or whatever. Like we're at 300 and something this year alone. That's because the media lies, believe it or not. They like to count things creatively. So you can't listen to those numbers. You have to do your research. But like I was saying, the FBI identified 252 events and said that 4% of the time that bad guy was taken down by a good guy with a gun before law enforcement did so. And that's another thing I like to say to people on the left. When they say, a good guy with a gun doesn't often stop a bad guy with a gun. Well, what do you consider the police? They're not superhumans. They just happen to show up and have guns. If the people already there had guns, things would be a little different. But that's a side note there. But like I was saying, they identified 252 and 4% were stopped by good guys with guns. But the Crime Prevention Research Center, they've actually looked at the numbers and they found out that the FBI kind of fudges the numbers. They lie a little bit. Well, they don't lie, but they use creative math. They say things like, well, if the bad guy didn't get to kill enough people, well, then it doesn't count as an active shooter event. If the good guy stops them when they've only killed 2 people or 1 person, or heaven forbid they get them before they actually hit anyone and take a life, well, that doesn't count because it's not a mass shooting. That's how they lie to you. If you look at the numbers, the Crime Prevention Research Center found that there was actually 360 events. And you might be like, oh my God, that means there were more events. That means it's worse. Yeah, but like I said, they found that 34% of those didn't ever happen, never became a mass shooting because good guys stepped in. So groups like the FBI and the media, they want to act like if a good guy stops a bad guy before they commit terrorist acts, then it doesn't count because they got stopped before it. That's ridiculous reasoning. That is just a blatant way to creatively disqualify every event that doesn't support your opinion or their opinion that good guys with guns don't stop bad guys with guns. Because the real math and the real numbers show that they do. Over a third of the time they stop them. So a third of all shooting events don't occur or don't get to the standing of a mass shooting because good guys step in. And that means a third of the time, people that have no obligation to protect anyone else but themselves and their family actually step up and protect others. That's an enormous number. Like I said, just because someone has a gun doesn't mean it's their job to protect you or to protect the population. It's their job to protect themselves and their family. And the fact that so many step up and do even more so often, a third of the time, a little more than a third time, that speaks to the old adage being absolutely true. It's 100% true that the best way to stop a bad guy with a gun is a good guy with a gun. And then some people be like, oh, we've got 400 million guns in this country. If that was true, then we'd be the safest country in the world. Well, here's one little thing for you. We are one of the safest countries in the world, especially for what we are. We're a huge country with a lot of geographic and social diversity and a lot of differences in our country, a lot of different makeups of races, etc. And of countries like that, we're one of the safest, if not the safest. You hear about, oh, these other countries safer. Yeah, it's a tiny little country with very little people in a small little geographic area that are all the same race, same color, same religion, everything. That doesn't exactly compare to the U.S. They also say that, oh, if guns made us safe, we have so many, we'd be safe. Most of those guns are sitting in safes or on walls or wherever because it's hard for people to actually carry them. They have to jump through hoops in a lot of places. Now, in more than half the states, they don't have to, but it used to be they had to jump through hoop after hoop after hoop just to be able to carry it. It's like the government was trying to prevent good guys from stopping bad guys. Like maybe those bad guys doing bad things helps them maintain power, because it helps them spread fear. But that's me getting into my tin hat territory there. But I think most people out there realize that might not be so crazy, because that's what they've done for years. But like I was saying, the FBI lies. The anti-gunners lie. The old adage that a good guy is the best with a gun is the best way to stop a bad guy with a gun. It's absolutely true, and the numbers prove it. Hey everybody, before I go, I want to say one thing. As many of you know, I sell merchandise over on my website, tympistolproject.com. That merch goes to fund TYMPPP, the Yankee Marshal Posse Pistol Project. And you know, I usually try not to get too partisan with my merchandise over there because I believe the Second Amendment is for everybody and I don't want to alienate too many people. But this new design I just did called Biden Talks is something I felt needed to be made because, come on. This guy's an embarrassment. He's incompetent. He's too old. He's losing his faculties. If you agree with me and you'd like to wear that on your chest with this new design, Biden Talks, go on over to tympistolproject.com. There is a link in the upper corner of this video. Purchase one of these shirts. Help support TYMPPP. You will get 2 entries into the monthly friend drawing for every shirt you buy. Speaking of supporting the channel, though, also if you want to support the channel and you want to support TYMPPP, when you go over there to that same website to buy merch, if you don't want to buy merch, there's 3 little medals there, a bronze, a silver, and a gold. You can click on one of those and become a Subscribe Star supporter of the channel, or a Starlet, as I like to call them. The bronze is a $5 a month donation. The silver is a $10 a month, and the gold is a $20 a month donation. That will all go to fund TYMPPP also. So if you want to do that, you can do that. And if you don't know, TYMPPP is a program that provides firearms to people who can't afford it, because the Second Amendment isn't just for people who have money. Poor people are more likely to be the victims of crime. That's why we try to help them out. But like I said, if you want to help out TYMPPP, go over, get one of my new Biden Talks t-shirts, or just become a supporter on Subscribestar. And with that being said, I am out of here. Thanks for coming. I hope you enjoyed the show. I hope to see you again tomorrow. Until then, remember, always carry and stay safe until I see you again.